and the whole program is actually run by children. Would you like to add anything on this, Morgan?
She just a lot of children that are either beaten or burned, or there's a lot of horrible stories with children living in the streets and basically the police officers. And so she decided to create a child line, which is a free phone number. It's in every train station, any common area, so that if children see other children getting abused, they just call up, and Childline will send a team, and the team is usually made up of children who already have similar cases. So it's really peers working through peers to help each other.
How are they sustainable economically? Mostly funding.
It's funding, and it's also becoming part of a government program.
Okay. We went through this earlier, Dr. B and David Green, the RONI, the cataract operation lenses. This is interesting. Trevor Field has created this thing called Plate Pumps International. He used to be an advertising executive, and he was, I think, traveling around South Africa for a while, and he came across, a lot of schools without clean water for children. So he said, what I'm going to do is really build a water pump on the merry-go-round for children. So when children go through the merry-go-round, the water gets pumped up, and as a result, the children have clean water in schools. But then, the question is, how do you finance it? So he says, why not get Coke to, put their big billboard up there, and he finances the whole project through advertising. And this helps bring clean water for young children. We created a section for young social entrepreneurs because we work on supporting young social entrepreneurs. This guy is called Rahul Raj. He started this thing called Meal Exchange in Canada. What it basically does is it tries to gather all this leftover meal coupons in Canada. In places like the US and Canada, you use meal coupons when you go to your cafeteria. So any unused meal coupons are recycled through a food program, and all the food is channeled to orphanages, homeless shelters all across Canada. And it's just one of the many solutions that they're trying to address hunger in Canada. This is a group of our fellows, the program that we run. We're supporting fellows, and I can run you through some cases. This guy is Zainite. He follows the DDD model a lot. Digital divide data. He's from Bangladesh. What he tries to do is train young people in web development skills, get outsourced web development work, give them jobs, and remain sustainable at the same time. This guy Raj, he's from Malaysia, but he works in Cambodia and East Timor. He has set up a school to provide life skills education to young people, underprivileged young people in these countries, and he's managed to create a lot of young people who, once they graduated from the school, have managed to get lots of jobs within the economy. This guy is Saurabh Kumar. What he's done is he's created he's trying to create a Walmart for handicrafts in which he gathers all of the handicrafts all across India and tries to market it online. Ideals, she's from the Philippines, Marielle. She's basically a marketing communications agency for nonprofits. Nonprofits, because of their undercapacity and low resources, they don't have the time and energy to put into things like what you call marketing, basically, when you're doing business. So she focuses on trying to target messages for nonprofits. And we have Pt.3, who tries to work with youth entrepreneurs in rural parts of the Philippines and provide them with microfinance loans. But in addition to the loan, she provides them with small business guides on how do you start your own business, these sort of things. So this now comes back to us. This is where you got to use your keen sense, your business sense, to try to help us improve our model. We work in this field called venture philanthropy. It's if a lot of you know about social venture capital, the flip side of venture capital is venture philanthropy. It's trying to use business acumen, business skills, business techniques, and philanthropic capital to support social and environmental agendas, initiatives, and so forth. These guys are called Venture Philanthropy Partners. They're a leading venture philanthropy firm, I think in the Bay Area, San Francisco. So this is our program, the website. I'll get into the model. So what we try to do is basically get young people who are really dynamic and convert them into more conscious social entrepreneurs. So the model is basically we've divided the components into 4 parts, and we try to provide these young entrepreneurs with support in terms of knowledge, funding, mentoring, and access to different networks. So knowledge would be in the sense of helping them develop business plans, social venture plans, helping them calculate their social return on their investments. In terms of mentorship, it will be connecting them to different mentors and having these mentors provide them in business mentoring. Things like sustainability is such a big issue within social enterprises. How do you make sure that you guarantee income generation strategy or resource mobilization strategy, whether in terms of fundraising or income generation or having your own revenue stream. And so what we do is we also provide them with startup grants of up to $15,000 per fellow. But we're hoping that we can evolve the model from grants from funding into financing. So financing would involve things like providing loans, and then beyond financing it would be maybe a mixture of equity and loans and that kind of thing. A good example of a firm that does this is the Appanah Fund from the US. What they try to do is they've evolved into like a venture capital firm, but wholly for social enterprises. And of course, the next thing that's very important is really who you know, not what you know. So access to networks is really crucial. The more networks these young guys can access, the more supporters they can recruit. This is the community that we try to create. It's called futureshooters.net, and it's got a youthful touch to it. So it's got different knowledge on development issues and different tools and so forth. This is our tools. We develop this guide on how do you come up with a social enterprise plan, or how do you even solve the problem innovatively before you tackle your venture plan. And then this is the general guidebook that we prepared. It's basically, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of The Lonely Planet. It basically takes that model and providing a rough guide on what the whole field is about, giving young people a rough sense of how do you start a venture, what does it take, what does it involve, things like resource mobilization, income generation, all these key issues. So in addition to, I have basically 2 questions. In addition to helping us improve that model that we're using to support young social entrepreneurs, I think this is where it all starts, and this is where it all begins with the starts. You can go out there, really get a great career, get caught up in what you're doing, start enormous amount of businesses, or even start nonprofits. But really ask yourself, what are you trying to do here? And how can you do it better? And when you're about to die, really, how can you know that you have lived and created the greatest value in terms of economic, social, and environmental? How can you tell yourself that you've maximized on all these 3 issues? So I think we should, sit back and think about it. So I leave you with that. Thank you.